Greetings, everyone. Welcome. I want to thank you for joining me today for our discussion and for this strong Sabbath insight. And as you've probably seen from the title, what we're going to really be dealing with is emotions and, concept of or allowing yourself to feel that you're feeling, and trusting your emotions. One of the things that I want to sort of specify first, and this is something I shared in my book, The Compass, is that emotions are a compass to your inner world. So as we start to trust and acknowledge that inner compass, it begins to guide us to a greater level of understanding and a greater level of alignment with our true selves. And that doesn't necessarily mean that your emotions are any level of objective truth, or even can validate a subjective truth, but rather they help you to understand the truth of what's really going on inside. So in this session, I really want to deal with learning how to trust your emotions, but also to honor them as a source of connection, and honor those emotions as a source of wisdom. For those of you who do not know, I am Chief Yuya, and I am the Chief Jegna, or coordinator, or head of the ANU Nation. And the ANU Nation has a component in it called the ANU Life Global Ministries, which is a part of the ANU Nation. And within that space, members take opportunity and take moments to service the larger community or the larger masses, whether it be through serving those who are displaced, who are without shelter, without home, or whether it be through feeding folks, physical nutrition, nutrient, or spiritual nutrition, or doing historical breakdowns so people can get a sense of what the historical or important events in the historical timeline may be, or even might just be a movie breakdown. But I'm the head coordinator of that experience. So back to our emotional piece. I want to help you to unlock the power of your emotions, because often we find ourselves very suppressed, and sometimes we suppress our emotions or we ignore our feelings, but our emotions are a vital part of our spirituality, and they are a vital part of our human experience as divine beings. I said recently, get in your emotions. People always say like, oh, you're in your feelings. Get in your feelings. I love being in my feelings, and exploring them and learning them, because they help to guide us. Your emotions and your feelings are here to guide you. They're like angels, they're here to teach us, and they are here to connect us with deeper truths. Now, again, that doesn't mean that every emotion that you feel should be validated as the truth. Just because you feel it doesn't mean that it's the truth, but it helps you to understand what your core reality is inside, regardless of what it is that you may be expressing to others on the outside. So in our session today, or in our insight rather, I would really like to explore the nature of that energy in motion, or the electricity in motion, which we call emotions. Take a look at their spiritual significance, and give ourselves an opportunity to maybe foster some practical ways to work with them, and to trust them, as opposed to pushing them down. You push your emotions down long enough, an explosion comes. And sometimes what comes out of you is so unrecognizable that then shame comes, But when you learn to draw on ancient wisdom, you'll start to see that there are practical placements. Emotions are mentioned in Torah. Emotions are mentioned in the sacred Ifa Udu. emotions are very much large part of the spiritual world and the spiritual kingdom. It's not something that you have like I said, be ashamed of, or it's not something I would advise to suppress at any time. There is a respectful and appropriate and orderly way to channel your emotions and to deepen your understanding of yourselves, and to deepen your understanding of what you may be conjuring on the inside. And just because you feel it, or you feel it in the moment, doesn't mean that it needs to be expressed any old way that you feel like you want to express it. But I think by the end of this insight, you will definitely feel a bit more empowered to have a little bit more trust. And, trust is built through predictability. Trust doesn't necessarily connote that something is automatically a good thing because you trust it. It's like, I trust the American government to lie. I trust the American government to use brutality. I trust that when there is a tragedy broadcasted on the news, like, a helicopter and a plane colliding, that have so many different functions of radar and early detection, I trust that I'm not being told the whole story, especially when the passengers of one of those flights was just full of Russians. I trust that it may not be totally accurate. So I trust the American government, right? But I trust them to do what they have historically done in the patterns that they've always shown themselves to do, which is to use deceit, occult practices, violence, and any tool that's offered to them by the Nephilim, or the fallen angels that rule over them. I trust that. I trust that agenda is always present, right? So emotions, when we look at them as messengers, one of the first things that we'll realize is that your emotions are not random. They're signals from within. I have found that a lot with women. A lot of times they'll be feeling things, sad or whatever. You're like, what's going on? Why do you feel that way? I don't know. I don't know. I just started crying. I just feel sad. It's not random. And then, you try to get them to explore it sometimes, and they're like, well, I don't know. I don't want to talk about it, right? But each emotion carries a message. And when we tune into the reality of, or we learn our emotional language, it empowers us. Some example, joy, right? Joy is an emotion that reminds us of what we truly value in life. When we feel that sense of joy, we need to make a note, like, oh, I'm feeling joy. What's going on? Because it's letting me know this is me right here. This is what I value. Just like sadness is an invitation. It's an invitation to let go. Sadness is an invitation to reflect on our lives and to let things go. Typically, when we feel the emotion of anger lets us know that our boundaries need to be respected. And anger typically lets us know that there are areas where maybe there's fear associated with it. And there's areas where we need more preparation, or we need more courage, right? That's typically where you'll have a fear expression. It's time you need to prepare in that area a little bit better. When you think about gratitude is a great emotion, because it's like gratitude is like the ultimate compass pointer, because it points to all the areas where you have fortune in your life. It points to all the areas where, some of you may use the term blessings or Baruch, but all the areas where you have blessings in your life, that's where your gratitude will point to, where your advantages are. Sometimes we experience emotions like guilt, and guilt typically lets us know where we meet, we may need to make amends, or where we need to realign our values. Sometimes we've been tripping and we've been tripping for so long that we've completely misaligned ourselves with our values. In our last session, last insight, I spoke about values, and how your values create the roots of your foundation. So it's very important to understand what your values are, but your guilt lets you know when you've stepped outside or too far, you've misaligned yourself from your root values, and you need to pull it in, Confusion is a common one. Oftentimes when we feel confusion, it's because we're on the brink of a new discovery. We're on the brink of some new growth explosion. And a lot of times when we feel confusion, we stop. I'm confused, I'm gonna stop. And you're about to discover something when you're confused, It's very similar to loneliness. Loneliness often paralyzes people as well. But loneliness is just a reminder that we have a natural longing for belonging. We have a natural longing for connection, and loneliness sort of reminds us of that. Sometimes we have excitement, which serves as a highlight, and it highlights. Excitement tends to highlight opportunities for us to align with our purpose, or to align with our joy, right? Excitement and joy are not the same thing. Excitement is the spark, and the excitement says, okay, there's an opportunity here to align with your purpose or to align with your joy, And as men, a lot of times we are taught and we learn as little boys to suppress our excitement, and that can lead to shame, right? And shame is another important one, because shame, a lot of times it gives you an opportunity to reevaluate your beliefs, when you're feeling deep shame, because a lot of times, and I'm a person who advocates shame. Shame isn't we live in a nation where shame it's like outlawed, and that's a part of an agenda. But shame gives you an opportunity to see what may be holding you back from accepting your true self. Not the self that the world would make you believe is you, but your true self, your true divine self, if you're truly a divine being. Shame gives you an opportunity to really look at your values, say, man, am I really accepting myself? On the other side of that, you may have contentment. And contentment is just another affirmation. And it affirms that you are in alignment with your interior peace. When you have that sense of contentment, you ain't sweating it. You're not really stressed about stuff going forward, When you look at concepts like anxiety, anxiety lets you know where you need to be more mindful. Anxiety lets you where mindfulness is needed, like what areas in your life that where you need to practice more mindfulness, and what areas in your life where you need to maybe practice more preparation. Anxiety will let you know that, So all of these different emotions that you may experience, or we all experience, I think, at different times, we can choose to paralyze ourselves and shut down and not really capitalize on the value of those emotions, or we can trust that those emotions are bringing us to a deeper level of understanding of ourselves. And like I said, again, when I say ourselves, I'm talking about your true divine self, not just the identity and the human personality that you fabricated over the years to protect yourself. Because sometimes those are made up of artificial emotions. I had to be this way. My life was like this. This happened. That happened. So I had to start acting like this. I had to become this thing or become that thing. I'll tell you an experience I've had with emotions. Personally, there was a time where I felt a really deep sense of frustration because I was in a situation where I wasn't being heard. And at first I tried to push that frustration like deep within, or I would say maybe I would try to push it to the side. I won't even say I tried to push it within at first. I tried to push it to the side. And the reason I pushed that frustration to the side because I felt like it was an unproductive emotion, so what's the point in being frustrated? It's not going to get me anywhere. But when I sat with it for a moment and I asked myself, what is this frustration seeking to tell me? And for me, it was a lot of it was based around a system, a system of white supremacy racism where I had different encounters with individuals who were trained and programmed to not hear me, to not listen to what I was saying, to not respect my humanity. So when I really sat and looked at what it was trying to show me, I realized that my frustration at that time and at that age, it was highlighting a need for clear communication, and what I needed to really communicate was my boundaries. However, I needed to communicate that. There's different languages that sometimes we find ourselves being required to use, but I had to communicate some clear boundaries. But by trusting that emotion instead of suppressing it, I found a way to honor my true self, honor my core values, honor my divine self, honor my ancestors, and address the situation in a way that it also honored the other person. And to be clear, honoring something is acknowledging what it really is. It's not like sometimes I've had people say things to me that are completely off, right? And I'll say to them like, well, I honor where you're coming from. There's a difference between me saying that and me saying I respect where you're coming from. I may have no respect whatsoever for you or for what's coming out of your mouth, but I honor and acknowledge the fact that it is yours and that it is your expression and it is your prerogative to share your expression and who you are in this moment. But if there's no divine in it, I can't respect it. When you think about the Ifa Odu, there's a passage in the Odu, Obeyonu, and in Obeyonu it says that the eyes of wisdom see what is hidden, and the heart is guided by discernment, or the heart guided by Ifa discerns truth, right? So just the concept of like the eyes of wisdom seeing what is hidden, and the heart guided by Ifa discerns what is truth. It sort of emphasizes the importance of going beneath the surface, which ultimately is a defining sort of term when we even use the term Ifa, but it's the importance of internal clarity, or as we say in supreme mathematics, that C, that I, that inner eye, that first eye vision, or what some of you may call the third eye, or again, in the world of Ifa, or in the world of the Yoruba language, we call the Ori Iwaju, but getting that clear spiritual perception, and learning to trust a cultivated intuition, learning to trust emotions. And it allows you to comprehend the deeper truths, when you're able to suss out the vibe, or you're able to peep game, or you're able to do the knowledge, and you can really see see internally the deeper truths that logic alone can't reveal to you. And that's what that passage in Obeyonu, is a pataki associated with it. But that's what that passage is speaking about. That ability to comprehend the truth, that logic and wisdom are not synonymous with one another, but the eyes of wisdom, and then you have Ifa revealing truths to you, because Ifa is now increasing your spiritual intelligence. I would ask you all, there's always a prompt that I've been asking you all of lately, because I'm seeking for this to be a bi-directional, integrative experience where we're working together. But I would say, like, what emotions have you found yourself feeling most strongly as of late? And if you consider that emotion and you can pinpoint it, what message do you think that emotion might be seeking to convey to you? And again, as like our last session, I encourage you to take a moment, reflect. Like, don't just jump. It's always annoying when people do that, and I say, sit down, put your hand down and sit down. When I say reflect, that requires time. Okay, reflect for a moment. Just take a moment. Damn, But anyway, write your responses. You can put them in the comments. If you want. It's always beautiful when we share, as a group or as a collective. But reflect on it. Write it down, man. What have I been feeling the most of lately? And what is it telling me? What if we see, there's a beautiful song by Harry Belafonte and Miriam Makeba called Malika. And that's a song, it was a group of songs I used to always wake the children up to. I had this, before like streaming and smartphones, I had this ahead of its time CD player that had an alarm clock on it, so like at a certain time it would start the CD. So I had made this mix CD, and that was the first song on the mix CD, Malika. Such a beautiful song, man. They did a job on that song. Anyway, I'm going down memory lane. But yeah, that's for the song that woke the children up. Because I know when I was a youth, man, them hard alarms, I just had the hard, it was like, oh goodness, it's jarring. But, going back to our discussion on emotions, emotions are deeply connected with our intuition. And, when something feels off, you feel like, man, this is, something's telling me I need to hold off, or I need to pull back, or this isn't right. That's your body and your spirit communicating through your energy body or your electricity or your emotions, and it's very similar to when you feel excitement or you feel joy. It's like a billboard on the road that's guiding you towards aligning with your purpose. So when you feel that pullback, when you feel that off, like something's off, that you got a billboard saying, man, you're on the wrong road. You're on the wrong road, So when you get to that place where you start to trust those inner emotions, because you have cultivated a smarter mind, right? Because some emotions could be just all over the place, and you need to learn from those ones too, right? But when you cultivate better thoughts lead to better emotions. Like I shared that again in the book, The Compass. I also shared that in Heart, Mind, Words, which is another text that I wrote as well. But you'll have emotions that you can ultimately totally trust because you've had better thoughts as a result. I think about what something that Dr. Ishakamusa Barashango said, where he said, our emotional energy is the fuel of creation. He said it's a divine spark that connects us to our ancestors and to each other, right? And I just thought he put that so well, because it speaks about the entertainment factor or the high energy factor that you may come to discover in like so many different indigenous ritual settings where Dr. Barashango, where he speaks about that, So emotions are not just personal in that sense. And what he's sharing is a divine spark that connects us to each other. It's a divine spark that connects us to our ancestors. And it's the fuel of creation. You see, your emotions are not just yours. They're not just personal. Your emotions are ancestral. Your emotions are collective. You see, so when you start to really deepen your connection and explore the concept of your emotions, you get these reminders, along the way of your course of study that you're a co-creator in the grand design of life, and part of what you're co-creating with is your emotions. Like, you ever look at those images or videos of like those wow painters when they like just throwing paint all over the place, and then you have the music playing in the background, and stuff like that. And you can't tell me it's not an emotional experience. Or if you ever look at certain singers or certain musicians, and like a Stanley Jordan, and the faces that, he always, like, you could just see when he's in it, like he's just in it. Phyllis Hyman, when she sings, and, all the different, energy that she puts into what she does, man. Rapper Daylight, he's like, when he spits, he literally spits, like his mics, you can see, like, because he's got one of those kind of mouths, he's very spitty, but there's a lot of emotion that's present there. We got people like Fantasia, right? But in all of this emotion, there is a creation of things, So I would even urge you as an activity, take a moment and close your eyes and tune into your body, right? Even in this moment, what emotions are present right now? And more specifically, where are you feeling those emotions? Where are you feeling those emotions? Allow yourself to observe what you're feeling and where you're feeling it without judgment. Just notice it and breathe, and just trust what arises as you begin to take the time to notice or to explore. You may find that new ones come forward. You may notice that as you breathe, like with each breath, like you're feeling something. I feel something in my elbow. I feel something in my shoulder now. I feel it in my crotch. I feel it in my rectal area. Whatever. Like, don't feel anyway. Just observe it. And breathe through it. That's a practice that's important to undergo consistently, in order to help maintain your equilibrium and maintain your balance. It's a very powerful thing to do. There are, and I think I shared this earlier, there are references to emotions in many different ancient teachings. When we look at Psalms 34:18, it says the Lord is near the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. So that kind of lets you know that even in your moments of pain, where you may feel like, man, I'm on my own, I'm just out here, I'm just out here. Like I said in my song, Seek Yah, blowing in the wind. You've been running, just out there, just blowing in the wind. But it teaches you in that moment that even in your moments of most severe pain, that those emotions can draw you even closer to the divine, and even closer to the divine, the support of the divine. So whether you're feeling pain, shame, guilt, anxiety, joy, excitement, happiness, you can utilize all of those emotions to draw you closer to to the Most High, to the Creator, to the Originator. So when you begin to trust your emotions, it means that you're trusting that those emotions are leading you more towards your healing and more towards your connection, right? Whatever the emotion is. Because again, the emotion is telling you something, right? Like I may see someone do something and I may say, hey, congratulations. But then within, I'm feeling anger. And I could ignore what's within and be like, well, no, I said congratulations. Everybody you heard me say it out my mouth. Congratulations, right? But I know, I can't lie to myself. I know within I was angry when I said congratulations, right? So I can use the truth of what was going on inside to guide me closer to the Most High. Like, all right, what's up with me? what's wrong with me? Or what's really good? Like, what am I really feeling? So one of the ways that you gain a power, as opposed to the shoulder shrug. I can't stand the shoulder shrug. It's for weak, undeveloped people. You ask them, hey, what's going on with you? Like, yeah, you're a beast of the field. That's what beasts do. So the first step in learning to trust your emotion and getting some measure of emotional intelligence is you have to name the emotion. When you can identify what it is that you're feeling, whether it's sadness, fear, whether it's anger, whether it's joy, you begin now to take a step towards, or your first step towards understanding and integrating that understanding into your overall cognitive intelligence or emotional intelligence. But you learn how to integrate that emotion into something that can now turn into a power for you. You can utilize it when you're able, and it's the first step. The first step is just name it, right? What am I feeling right now? That's the exercise I used to do in my Rites of Passage program every single day. When we met, we'd stand in the circle, tell me what you're feeling right now. And most would be like, I'm feeling fine. So there were certain words we would outlaw, like you can't say good, you can't say fine, you can't say you can't say I'm okay. You got to reach a little further, even if you say, hey, I'm fulfilled, I'm content, right? But well, they would know. Y'all weren't in the program. Maybe some of y'all were, because I have some of my old youngins who are grown now who still come around. But if you were lying, if you said I'm happy and you're not. Maybe your parents, you got into it with your parents at dawning, or you had to scrap on your way to the subway or whatever it was, But when you learn to feel that and own it without judgment, you allow yourself to feel your emotions fully, and the labels that you don't want to use for your emotions are good and bad. That shuts them down. You see, even to say I feel good. What's that? Or I'm angry and that's bad. See, as soon as you do that, you forget the fact that all emotions have a value. So you push them away with good or with bad, instead of asking that emotion, oh, jealousy. What are you here to teach me? Don't come around me if you're not here to teach me something. Don't even come up around here. Oh, anger. What you got for me today? What's up? Sadness. You see? So you can't have that conversation with your emotion if you're reactive. When you get to a point where you can trust the emotion and trust the authentic conversation that you have with the emotion, it takes you out of the space of acting on your emotion impulsively. There's nothing admirable about that, man. I've been saying that for years, because I came up around a lot of live wires. We use that term. And I came up around a lot of people who would pride themselves in the fact that they could go off. I'll go off. I'll spaz out. I'll do that. Anybody can do that. That doesn't make you special because you have no emotional control. It means you're underdeveloped. That's all it means. Everyone can curse somebody out. Everyone can say something rude. Everyone can be short and curt with people. Everyone can be to the point, and ignore other people. So trusting your emotions doesn't mean that you're reacting in an impulsive manner. Rather, it means that you're pausing to understand them before deciding how you're going to respond. See, that's the work of a real general. That's when you're starting to think with some militancy, and you're not thinking so foolishly. If you feel anger, just for an example, because it's such a common emotion, if you feel anger, you can use it as an opportunity to set a boundary rather than lash out at somebody. As parents, we do that all the time, right? We come home, something's broken. And you can react. Who broke my? You call everybody downstairs, line them up. You're gonna tell me that. You could do that, or you could pause for a second. I've done this plenty of times, and I've said, "Why did I leave it here? I know how they are. I know how clumsy my children are. Especially when they're rushing out the door or the backyard to go play. They don't care. They're like it's a stampede. So why would I put this here, knowing that they were going to knock this over, kick it and keep kicking it? I should have put this up higher. I shouldn't even own something like this anymore. I can't own nice things. I used to say that to the youth all the time. I can't have nothing nice around y'all. And I like nice things, but I can't have nothing nice around y'all. So you have to ask yourself, man, or I ask you, how do you usually react to your emotions? Especially your strong emotions. How do you usually react? What would it look like if you paused and responded instead of reacted? What would that look like instead? Instead of just, I'll go off. If y'all do this, or you didn't take the garbage out, or my bosses didn't pay me for my overtime, or this coworker said I didn't send something through an email and I know I sent it. I got to read receipt. Ooh, I'm gonna go off. Or, all the little different stupid things. This person tried to cut me in line, or, all those things that we react of. When we learn to trust our emotions, we integrate our head and our heart. And that integration allows us to live more authentically and with more clarity and with more purpose. Makes you stronger. If you want to be tough, you got to learn not to be impulsive. Tough people are not impulsive people. I've quoted that line before. Styles P. Sit down, put up the cannon. Turn on the fan, let the sweat dry. I messed up the lyric, but he says that in a song. He's like, yo, I'm not just going. There's a situation outside. There's a possibility of an altercation. I got the cannon in my hand, or like y'all say on YouTube, the pew pew. I got the cannon. I'm gonna go inside. I'm gonna turn the fan on. I'm gonna cool off for a moment. Let the sweat dry. Like he says, think wiser, retaliate harder. So in exploring emotions and the value of a response over a reaction, I want to just sort of kind of summarize a little bit of what we dealt with in this insight. First thing, understanding that the emotions are like the malaika, they're like the angel, that they serve as messengers. And these are messengers that guide us towards a deeper understanding of ourselves, And so we want to put value on every emotion. Doesn't mean that we legitimize every emotion as the external truth. It's going on inside of you. That's your stuff, But when you begin to trust your emotions, it connects you to the divine and your intuition. And again, the emotion, it doesn't mean because you feel happy that it's good. Take away the good and bad valuation. You just feel happy. Why do I feel happy? Happy, what are you trying to tell me? Because you could feel happy doing something wrong. And that will lead you to a deeper truth. Oh, I like doing these bad things. I like doing hood rat things with my friends, you know? So you want to look at some of the practical steps, and that starts with naming. I'm going to name the emotion. What the heck is this? Oh, this is this. So you have to learn the vocabulary of emotions. Everything can't be good and bad. You name, then you feel, then you respond, right? And that will help you to embrace and work with your emotions, as opposed to suppressing them or pushing them to the side or ignoring them. Because like I said, at some point it's going to come out in a way where it is unproductive. Your first emergence of an emotion is not unproductive. Why deny an angel? So I encourage you this strong, spend some time tuning into your emotions and notice them, name them, ask them why they're here and what they have to teach you. Share your reflections. You could share it in the comments, or you could share it with someone you trust. It should be someone you trust enough to be able to say, hey, this is what I've been feeling. And it doesn't mean that you do toxic emotional dumps on people. All right? So I'm not encouraging that. But having a real authentic conversation, with another one that you trust, or putting it in the comments again and chopping it up with each other. Don't always look for a response from me. I'm read everything, but sometimes I look to see if you all will interact with each other, or if you just don't. I'll just say that. And that leads me to even, if you're looking for a deeper connection, I invite you, as I always do, to apply for ANU Life Global Ministries, and more specifically the ANU Nation. The ANU Life Global Ministries is the spiritual community, or the spiritual component of the ANU Nation. And that's where we sort of take time to explore practices that are transformative, internally, externally, but also that helps others. That's the most important thing. It's not always about coming in because I need y'all to show me this. I need y'all to do whatever it is that you feel you need. Be ready to eventually give, because the next person coming in behind you might be saying they need the same thing. You may come in saying, well, I need camaraderie, and I need a nation, I need a community. But you come in and you're not brotherly at all. You're not sisterly at all. The next person coming in may say, I need community and brothers and sisters too. And they may look at you and you like, why? I ain't that. I'm waiting for them to give it to me. So, that's not how you necessarily align with your best self or with your highest self. As I always share, we have opportunity. We do retreats every year, and that gives people an opportunity to see what it may feel like or experience that, to align and to contribute and to be a part of a mission that may be greater than just your own personal goals or your personal ideas of enrichment. That's where life gets real cool, where life gets real fun and where it gets real interesting, where when you start to encourage yourself beyond what you perceive to be your limitations, when you start to encourage others to move beyond what they perceive their limitations to be, and you watch them grow. Like, who doesn't like watching flowers grow? Like, who doesn't like watching people grow or things grow? So I would just say, consider these things, but remember that you're not your emotions, and your emotions are not your enemy, regardless of what the emotion is. It's not your enemy, man. When you learn to trust them and you learn to honor them and you let them guide you to a fuller and richer life, you'll realize that all this time, your emotions were your allies. You know, I remember as a young person, I was always noted as being sensitive, you know, and there was a time where I was very embarrassed by my sensitivity, you know, not just sensitivity to hurt, but also sensitivity to a good time. You know, I think about it now. I remember as a young person, the first time like my uncles let me play dominoes with them, and you know, dominoes is like poker to a degree. You gotta have a poker face. And I remember just having this big smile. I could not stop smiling the whole time. And I was like trying to like do this, but I was just so happy that like, yo, I'm at the big man's table. You know what I mean? I'm playing domino, like slam them on the table. You know what I mean? And I think back at that times and I laugh. You know, because I don't come from a highly emotional family. You know, they all got like real stern poker, maybe even mean faces. But you know, just imagine this big tooth, you know, little boy sitting there just just happy, you know. But there was a time that level of sensitivity, I was embarrassed by it. But then when I started to explore spiritual communities more, I was always very spiritual. I've been doing rituals since I was 7 years old, been doing readings since I was like 7, 8 years old, you know, intuitive readings. Then I got into tea leaves, you know, then I got it, well, it wasn't cigar ash, it was actually cannabis ash or weed ash. But ashery, I've been doing stuff like that since I was, before I hit puberty, you know? But when I started getting into communities with other people, that sensitivity took on a different kind of value. It was like, oh wow, man, he feels that he feels things in a very exact way. He's psychic. You know, he's this, he's that, man. It's, you know, it's like, oh, there's value in the sensitivity. So I'm urging you now, don't suppress. You know, whether it be the sensitivity to your emotions or your sensitivity to other people's emotions, put value on it, and put a value on it beyond that's good, that's bad. That doesn't take you anywhere. That stops everything. That's a stone wall of communication. Ask, what are you showing me? What are you teaching me here? You know, what is it? Me being sensitive to other people's emotions as a young person, and like I've shared before, I used to cry. I used to cry at cartoons. Popeye in particular. I used to cry watching Popeye. And if I tell you the age, you'd be surprised. I'm not too wild, I was like a little boy. But I just thought Bluto was so mean. I was like, why you keep taking this girl? That's messed up. He keep taking olive oil. He beats him up in front of his girl, grabs his girl, takes away, and Popeye just there all mashed out till he gets his spinach. But still, he was, why'd he do that? That's messed up. I'd be sitting there as a little boy watching Popeye, like, yo, that's messed up, man. He took his girl. Next thing you know, my eyes, you get that cloudy thing in my eyes, start welling up with tears. You know, so yeah, man. And no one celebrated it. You know, I grew up with siblings, so it was like, oh, here we go. What's wrong with you? Yo, you stupid. Like, that's what it would be like, what's wrong with you, cry baby? You know. But when you get older and you start, you know, like I said, in other environments, it was like, man, being able to well, I guess it's a double-edged sword, but being able to feel others' pain, to see their tragedy in their past, in front of them on the road before they even get there. Like, hey, this is what's coming. But also to see their joy coming, or to see their joy in their past. So sometimes I've had clients come to me and, man, my life is this and it's, everything is over, it's horrible. And I'm like, life ain't been like that. What about this, that? I could feel it coming out of your inner voice. I could feel that joy down in there that's crying for acknowledgement, but you keep suppressing it. You keep suppressing when you were happy and what made you happy. And when you were finding those moments of excitement as a younger person that was leading you closer to your alignment of who you were supposed to be and the task that you were assigned in this world. You were assigned something in this world. And you felt joy around that idea. You felt joy around that task. It could have been rescuing animals, whatever it was, dancing, music, politics, saving your people, whatever it was, flying airplanes, and you suppressed it and you put it to the side. Now your life is effed up. But that voice is still there. So you meet someone like me who has that psychic sensibility and that psychic sensitivity. I say, no, what is it that you always wanted to do? Now I already know, like I always say, I never ask a question I already know the answer to. Well, when I was younger, I wanted. Here we go. Here we go, right? So it's not always a sensitivity to pain. A lot of fake psychics, they always talk about your pain because pain is easy to talk about. We all banged up. We all need healing. So fake psychics, they'll get you crying when they get you in front of their table. You went through a lot of things as a child and you never were accepted and you looked for answers and you couldn't find. Of course you looked for answers and couldn't find them. That's why you sit in front of a psychic. Duh. That's not really difficult to figure out, but they'll play with that because some people their intuition is good. They can intuit things about you, but they're not necessarily psychic. They don't necessarily have a gift, a spiritual gift. They're just really good at reading people, and it could be what you're wearing. It could be the way you shook their hand or the way you looked at them when you walked in. It could be what you're driving. It could be the way you smell. The way your hair is, the way your beard is, male or female, right? They'll look at those different type of things and they'll start to intuit stuff, and sometimes we don't realize how obvious some of our clues are or some of the things that lead to other obvious behavior, because it's considered offensive. When I get a client, a male client, male or female really, who is living an alternative sex style other than heterosexuality, I already know, no strong father. Easy. That one's easy. So I could create whole narratives around the fact, I know you didn't have a strong father in the house. I already know. And we don't want to say things like that because it would seem offensive, but whatever, it's the truth. It's an agenda. And if you've studied that agenda for the amount of years that I've studied that agenda and seen it play out, then this is inevitable. This is what they were working towards doing. The masculine female, the effeminate male, removing the warriorhood from young boys, putting the female out front so you could crash the household. So of course she's going out now and she's not attracted to boys anymore. Or she was messed over by some nasty, ravenous, predatorial male. Why was she worked over by some predatorial male? Because her father wasn't in the house or his father wasn't in the house. Mama can't protect the house, though she keeps saying she can't. So the predators saw an opportunity, came in, touched people. And now they're this going forward. Now they live this sex style going forward. And I know that's offensive to people, but truth is like that, man. When you live inside of a delusion, it's very similar to poly. I've had people try to tell me who've never had more than one woman, or women who've never been a part of a family, a plural family. Well, jealousy is a natural emotion and people get jealous. That's not a natural emotion. Jealousy is not natural. You see, the problem is If you never take the time to learn how you were originally designed and created by the Creator, you think everything that you feel is natural because you haven't explored the emotion and said, well, where's that coming from? What are you trying to teach me? Where are you bringing me? You haven't taken time to explore any of that because you just assume out of your own intellectual laziness that, well, it's just how people are. People just jealous. No, they're not. We've been made a certain way by the programming that's been put inside of us, but that's the Creator didn't make you that way. Your job is to return to the resource or to your natural state of being. That's your job, not to take on this manufactured persona that your pain and your hurt and external programming by fallen angels has told you that's how you're supposed to be. So then when you act that way, you say, well, that's just second nature. I just said, well, your second nature is effed up. You need to get back to your first nature. That's the reality. So people say that to me, well, women are jealous. No, they're not. No, they're not. Women are not jealous. Men are not jealous. People become that way because of their toxicity. But when you're standing on the principles of what's divine and what's right, you'd be surprised how many things that are no longer in you. Because you know what I found about women? They're communal. That's what I found. They're communal. Women like to be a part of communities. So when you walk into a spot and you got two women on your arms, fellas, I'm telling you from experience, you'll get more women who want to come over and party and kick it with you. Because they want to be a part of the community. What y'all doing over here? I've gone into spots and literally left with waitresses. That has happened off the top of my head 3 times, but I know it was more times than that. Literally left with waitresses. Because I came in with 2, 3, couple more sisters. We doing our thing, joking, laughing, having fun, mini food fights or whatever stupid thing we do. And y'all having fun over here. What are y'all, a group? Y'all do, yeah, we kind of, sort of that way, kind of a group. Yeah, we do the group thing. Went to the group thing, like coming to America. Next thing you know, I get, well, what time you get off? All right, come with us. That's what I know. But when you have a man who's functioning in his role that the Creator gave him to function in as someone who's presiding properly, then it frees up and it begins to purify the woman so she can be what she naturally is, which is not a jealous creature. When you have a situation where a woman, and this is a whole nother conversation, but I'll maybe do a segment about this. When you have a woman who comes in and she wants to be the one, well, I got to be the only one. I got to be the one. I got to be the one. She's not a wife. Get rid of her. She's not a wife. She's not moldable, she's not from your side. Remember how Chava was made from Adon, from his side? Well, I got a lot of different sides. I got multiple sides. This side says one thing, this side says another, this side says another, back says another, this side says this. I got a lot of different sides that have a lot of different expressions, you see. And sometimes, you may have someone who doesn't match up with any of your sides. Let them go find something that they do match up with. But yeah, I say all that to say that emotions they are a compass, but they are not necessarily natural truth. Because you feel jealousy doesn't mean, well, at our core and at our, all humans are jealous. No. We've been made to be jealous because we've taken on someone else's culture of ownership. So we've been made to be that way. But when we walk away from sick and toxic culture and reinvest into who and what we are, you'd be surprised how much more beautiful life can be. You would be shocked when you start getting to who and what you naturally are, and how much more free your expression can be. I know in the things that I just said, I know people clicked off and like, I don't hear about no religion even. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not going to stop because you're silly, because you're foolish, because you don't value high culture. I'm not going to now go to low culture. This ain't no TV sitcom. This ain't the Cosby's and all them other fictional things that don't work, never have worked, won't work, weren't even designed to work. This ain't that. This ain't that. This is Mansa Musa. This is Shaka Zulu. This is Siete Rayo. This is Sundiata. That's what this is. This is Fela Kuti. This is Bob Marley. You see? All right. So, I want to thank you all for coming through. And like I said, if you desire a deeper connection with not only yourself, but also a greater community, I urge you and I invite you to apply to the ANU Nation. And like I said, just as strong as you're going through, consider your emotions. Try to maybe reframe them as being your ally and not your enemy. And if they're your ally, feel comfortable enough to have a conversation with them, and ask them, where are we going with this? What are you teaching me? Where are we going with this? All right. But thank you for spending this time with me. And thank you for learning, and for all of you new invites. I know we've had some new people who have applied for ANU Life Global Ministries. So I wish you the best of fortune on your journey coming in, and I will that everything goes smoothly, and maybe we'll probably see you at the next retreat. If you go through your orientation and everything works out. For all of you who are applying or thinking about even applying, I welcome you, and like I said, always thank you for this time shared. With that, I am Chief Yuya, wishing you a peaceful day, evening, dawning, whenever you're listening. Shalom.